All right, what's up? It is 10:32 a.m. Central Standard Time. I'm a little late today. Um, got up at like 9 and then had to do some work before I hopped into this live. But today I am drinking, same as yesterday, Folgers half cap, decaf, and black silk. And I did put a little bit of, no sugar vanilla in there. French vanilla. It's good. It's good. I did figure out how to do screen share. So let's see. Screen share, see, I have to minimize OBS, take it off the screen. Like that. But then I can't see myself, and that's fine. Because I don't need to see myself. But let's see. What do I want to talk about today even? I don't have anything to look up on Google yet. So how are you? How are you today? I'm going to a baseball game this Friday. St. Louis Cardinals. That's my team. And not that I necessarily really have a team. But it's been a few years since I've gone to one. And I'm going with a friend. And I'm excited about that. Sometimes I feel like listening to conspiracies or whatever, listening to conspiracies can like stop you from living life sometimes. You don't want to go to these rituals, these bread and circuses of, sports, but I knew all about it, and I still watched football like this whole season because I enjoy it. I enjoy the vibe of it all, I guess. But the Super Bowl, I saw a stat on Threads the other day saying like there was only 13 minutes of playing time in the Super Bowl, or maybe it's just average game time. But, obviously the clock is an hour, 15 minutes for each quarter. But the playing time is 13 minutes and something. That's wild. The rest of the time, they're standing there in the huddle. I don't know if playing time is that the quarterback's up, behind the center and waiting on, waiting on that, like, I don't know if it's when that ball is hiked. It's probably how they calculate it, when the ball is actually hiked. And it's just wild. We watch 13, 14 minutes of football, and the rest of it is commercials and, just waiting around. And the games, they're like 3+ hours long. I think that part, like, if the game was maybe, less than 2 hours, I'd be okay with 13 minutes of playing time. But the games last 3 to 4 hours. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. So anyway, I'm going to this baseball game, which is even slower than football, but they do have a timer on it now, I guess. Right? I think so. You have to pitch within a certain amount of time, which is nice. It's not necessarily nice for the pitchers, but keeps the game going. So anyway, I'm doing that. And it's so funny, it's asking me to sign into chat again on OBS. I don't want to sign into chat. I don't want to. Chat. Welcome to my life. Comment. Something new with you. I do so for work right now, I do a couple part-time things. I do catering. So I'm working I worked last night. I think I worked 4 or 5 shifts tonight. It's kind of an interesting gig. It's kind of like a job, like a restaurant job. We go to specific places. It's not just like super random, but specific places, and you kind of work with the same people every time. So it's nice in that way, in that it's not completely random people every single time. So you start to develop, relationships, getting to know people, their names, etc. So that has been interesting. A lot of interesting people come in. I've had a couple wedding receptions, and a couple, which they've kind of made me sad. I've loved it for the people who are getting married, and I've never really wanted a big wedding like that, like over 200 people. I've never really been interested in it, but then I watch them, and it's just beautiful. It's just a beautiful reception and gathering and dinner and all that and dancing. And I'm like, 200 people? It kind of makes me sad, because I'm like, I could never. 200 people? I live with my parents. I at least have 2 people that will come to my wedding. But this is part of why I wanted to do this live, is again to build community and to gather people who are like-minded. And I think I said before, I don't want to create an echo chamber or anything, but it is nice to be around people that you can have conversations with who are interested in the things you're interested in. And I was watching a video, so maybe we can pull this up. So I want to show you the guy. I was watching a video yesterday on YouTube, and let's see. Interesting conversation. Let me get through the ads. Okay, so screen share here. Excuse me. So it was this, I don't know if you can see me. I just want to check my YouTube real quick. See how this looks. I need another screen. Yeah, there you go. I'm in the left-hand corner. I can see it on my phone. That's cool. Okay. So this guy says nothing feels real anymore, and you're not imagining it. It just came up in my feed, and I was intrigued by it. And it's basically, like a 46-minute monologue by this guy, the functional melancholic. So, these people in the comments, So what I want to say first, before we get into the comments, about this video, he had a point where, before, when we had all these stories about life and how life worked and what our history was, we were all within a shared reality. Right? We understood, we could talk to each other about our shared reality, and we could share that. But now, because nothing feels real anymore, there are people who, and because of algorithms, there are people who, many people, there are millions of different realities now. Isn't that crazy? I think I mentioned this yesterday on my live. I need to remember what I mentioned. But my stepdad watches, reels on Facebook every single day. And his algorithm talks about, for example, the moon. His algorithm talks about, the successful mission to the moon and Artemis and, the astronauts, and this is all real. And all of my algorithm is like, this is fake. Look at this video that shows it's fake. Look at this green screen thing. Look at this thing that's happening there. Look at this math. There's no way that the moon landing could actually happen because of this math that's involved. It's impossible. It's way too hot. You can't pass the firmament. Like all of this. And so now, we can't even share in the experience of one thing or the other. One reality or the other. And it's kind of sad in a way. It's sad because it's made people quiet, and it's made people not feel comfortable just talking with one another. It's interesting. But I say that because I feel like there are some people who, and maybe I'm the problem, and that's fine. There are some people that I just don't have a shared conversation topic that we can talk about. Even with some workers that I've worked at on catering with that I've just met over the past couple weeks, I'll ask random questions like, what are you watching these days? Or even when I was in New York, I asked people, what are you watching on TV? What's going on? And one of them was what is the JFK Jr. show? Yeah. Love Story. Right. And one woman was like, I've been loving this Love Story. I just can't wait until the next episode. I don't know if they changed it up, like if they stopped it and then started it again, but she was in between. She's like, I want to just go to the next one. I don't think you can actually binge them. But make this screen a little smaller. Text. And when she I don't watch that, so it was kind of hard to have a conversation about it, honestly. And also because there's a lot of stuff about that. It's obviously, I don't know, it's dramatized, it shares that. It says this limited series dramatizes the romance and tragic deaths of John F. Kennedy Jr. and Carolyn Bessette. And there's conspiracies out there that JFK Jr. is not dead. There's a conspiracy out there that JFK Jr. was actually in this show as a pilot. And I think I watched a video on the possibility of JFK Jr. being a pilot. You can't see him, but he's standing there. You can't see his face, but he's standing there with the aviator glasses on, which is a classic look for him. And I watched that video before I had this conversation with this woman, and I was just holding back, because I was like, she probably isn't in that deep. She's watching this show, and part of me wants to be like, that's not real, right? These obviously these shows, is it dramatize or dramatize? It's just like they create the story, whether that was the actual story or not. You have these two attractive people, and they're going to make it as romantic or as dramatic as they can to keep you watching. And it's just like, I ask people questions and I can kind of see where they're at without completely jumping into conspiracy stuff. And again, maybe I'm the problem. Maybe that should be the name of this live, because, I think I have lost a lot of people around me because of the information that I see and that I collect and that I'm interested in. And there are a lot of people who aren't, or there are a lot of people who say, people like me are crazy. And so I just want to find other crazy people like me. Like another test just to see where people are at. Yesterday, we were, working at this catering gig, and there's this fountain sodas, and there's high C, right? This guy is getting high C. And I look at the packaging closely, and it says contains, like, it's flavored fruit drink, contains 0% juice. 0%. And it's high C, which I asked him. I said, I'm curious, what does the C stand for in high C? And I had to think for a second. Okay. I was thinking at first calcium, and I was like, I know that's not it. And he's like, what is it? It's the eventually got vitamin C. Yes, it is vitamin C. And what do you just know vitamin C? Vitamin C is in fruit, oranges specifically, right? Like, that's just kind of common knowledge. So it's complete marketing that drink is called high C. Sounds like it's high in vitamin C, but actually it contains 0% juice. And I said that to him. I said, yeah. And it says right here, flavored fruit drink contains 0% juice. And he's like, oh, well, we're going to die from something. And I said, hey, true. And that's part of, like, I think ignorance is bliss type thing. I'm not interested in drinking something like that. I'm still drinking, this artificial French vanilla sweetener. There's not French or vanilla in it. Contains 0% French and vanilla. So, I'm not saying I'm a saint or anything, but if I'm going to be duped, I appreciate, like, knowing in advance. So now I have the choice. And so that's where I think the hyper awareness comes in of, I have to be aware of these things. I mean, my degree is in marketing, and so I've known from the beginning about what they do as far as marketing. That's kind of why I wanted to get in it, because I was so interested. My favorite class was, two of them was logic, and just having conversations about, the logic of things. And it's funny because back then I was definitely conservative. I didn't know it. It was before I went to university. I was at a community college, but we were talking about income and, taxes, and, like, people should pay. I think my parents at that time, my mom, my stepdad, were making okay money because they were principals at schools. I mean, we have small schools out here, but they're principals. My mom eventually moved up to superintendent. So it's like they were getting paid well in education terms. But, people in the class were like, the higher amount you make, the more you should pay in taxes. And I was like, no. I was like, no. Do you know how hard my parents have worked? Do you know how many years they've gone to school? How many hours they've put in now to make a good education salary? No, I don't think they should. So it's kind of funny how, right then, I was definitely conservative leaning, right? Fiscally conservative. I wasn't really into all the politics. So that was like 20, um, 20, 2010, 2010. So that was, I feel, 6 years before it really got going with Trump in 2016. But what was I saying? Marketing in college. So logic was an interesting class, and then psychology was the other class that was very interesting. Because it's like, oh, I know McDonald's uses red and yellow because it stimulates something for humans, or they have the specific smell of the fries and the burgers, and anytime you just drive by a McDonald's, you smell it, right? Or they dim the lights down in a restaurant at 8 p.m. because it gets people to drink more, it gets people to eat more, things like that. And that it fascinated me because I'm like, oh, you're just doing this and humans don't really know what's happening. So I think with that, it's like I could know what's happening so I don't get duped. I don't get scammed. And I don't know if I was fully aware of that reasoning then, but it kind of makes sense to me now. And it's just, and so, circle this all back around to, I try to see where people are at. And I'm not the type of person who's gonna be like, yesterday, when I was sitting down with a woman I work with, I was almost like, so you believe in like conspiracy theories? I swear I'm not like addicted, but they're interesting to talk about. But, I don't want to dive in and be like, yeah, we didn't go to the moon. That's not, I want to be, it's nice to be in a shared reality with someone, even though you have this part, that may not be shared. Sometimes it's fine to compartmentalize. Just like, I'm going to keep my conspiracy theory stuff for my sisters and people who join me on this live. And yeah. So that's, I think this whole video maybe is just one circle back around because it reminded me of the weddings that I've worked at, and no way I could fill a room with 200 people who love me dearly. Which is so funny. I was thinking yesterday, there's some type of saying out there. You can really tell how much a person has impacted someone by how many people come to their funeral. And, yeah, sure. But also, humans are stubborn. I feel like, there have been people I've affected, who I have impacted. But it's their perspective on whether that was a good impact or a negative impact in a way. Like me saying no to somebody, or me, saying this isn't working. maybe led someone to the best thing ever. But they're probably not going to come to my funeral. Probably aren't going to be like, well, even though that was a really hard situation, the best part of my life came after that. And so maybe it's me just justifying why I won't have hundreds of people at my funeral as of today or my wedding. But it just reminds me that coming back to myself and understanding who I am and being okay with that, and still working on being better, being more stable isn't the right word, but being more like centered and purposeful and intentional with what I do, because people say there's another saying about like character and reputation versus character. Like, oh, your reputation is everything. And it's like, but my reputation isn't based on, it's based on what I do, but mostly it's based on how other people interpret the things that I do. And how is that on me? I have carried the weight of so many of my mistakes, but also carried the weight of so many other people's perceptions of my mistakes, or people's judgments of my mistakes, people's opinions on my mistakes, and those are not mine to carry. No matter what, people don't know the full story of me. People don't know the full story of you. There are some people that I've worked with that I've gotten really annoyed by. Just like surface level, they're doing too much, or they, telling me what to do when I already know what to do, and that shit annoys me. And I realized that, okay, this is surface level. It is annoying me. These traits that this person has annoys me. However, if I sit down and talk with them and I hear their story, for the most part, like if they're actually genuinely telling me their story and being, vulnerable in a way, not trauma dumping or anything, then I probably love them. Right? Because I understand them. But most of the time, on the internet, we don't have the opportunity to share everything about ourselves. We don't have the opportunity, nor should we take it to explain or to justify all of the decisions we've made in our lives. Or should we point out, oh, this was my mistake. This was the right decision for me. This is the wrong decision for me. No one is ever going to get the full picture. They can hear a little bit of it, but especially with the internet, you never really know a person online. And even in person, you never really know the full story of people, of a single person. Even if it's your spouse. You just don't. But you can understand them more. And I've thought of so many times of, while I have these ideas or these interests of world current events, and people may think I'm crazy. People think other people like me are crazy. And it's like, but you just don't understand. And do I think that, when I was having a conversation with my mom 2 nights ago about the White House Correspondents' Dinner and how I thought it was staged and everything, like, I see someone else watching. Welcome. Feel free to add something in the chat if you want. Say hi. Just drinking some coffee and talking to myself. And now you. I think you have to subscribe if you're not already, and then subscribe for 5 minutes, and then you can comment. But I think what I was saying with my mom and sharing, how I thought the White House Correspondents' Dinner shooting was staged. I don't think she's crazy or dumb or ignorant or whatever for having her beliefs. I appreciate her having her beliefs. Plus, I appreciate how she listens to me. Because when I was telling her, she listened. And that hasn't always been the case. A lot of times, like, shut down. Doesn't want to hear it. But it's because I understand, maybe as a whole too, of people who have certain beliefs. Well, it's because they've been shown certain things. They've been taught certain things. They've been marketed certain things. They've been told a narrative that I don't believe in, which is going back to the current reality and how we used to have a shared reality, and now there are millions of different realities because of our different algorithms. I mean, that's really it. Like, I shared on my Instagram story last night an idea that I had. And it was basically, we're all watching a show. Like, if we say the world is a stage, then we're all watching it on our phones or on our TV, YouTube, like wherever, social media. And it's just these little screens we're watching this big show that's going on, right? We could just turn the show off. And that would take away its power, right? But we have built this house of cards. It's not necessarily a Ponzi scheme, but it's a house of cards to where you pull one out. If everybody, right, just like sports, if you stop watching sports, if everybody stops watching football, something is going to happen. But it's not going to happen. Too many people are invested in this shared reality that people will continue to go. Like, I don't want to, part of me does. I don't want to get off social media. No, I want to build a community online. I want to share my ideas online. I want to have conversations with people online. Like, sometimes I just post videos because I want it's not that I want human interaction. I just want to know other people's thoughts on these videos. And so it's kind of like this idea of, there's this marketing thing of AI And it's like, you better start using AI or you're going to be left behind. And it's like, how many people didn't download Instagram or Facebook? And are they behind? I'm sure there are. No, like, they're living their life, doing life things, not virtual things. There was also something from this video. Let's see. Also something from this Nothing Feels Real Anymore video, where he said that this virtual reality that's being created, it doesn't just, swap in and out with actual reality, with true reality. It replaces it. It replaces our reality. And so now we expect reality to be this virtual thing that seems, more fair or more fun, more interesting. I get more out of it. And it's kind of like he said with a McDonald's advertisement. You see the burger that is glimmering, shiny, delicious looking. Which, after I found out what McDonald's is made out of, what the burgers are made out of, possibly, I've stopped eating them for like 3 months. Eating at McDonald's, I can't. I don't know if I'll ever eat at McDonald's again. Which is fine. I don't have a problem with that. But you have this burger, which is the non-real reality, because then you get into actual reality, and the burger don't look like that. It's smashed. Even the burger looks dull, right? It's a mess. And so now we've created this virtual reality that is replacing our current reality. Because it is interesting to talk about. Like, if I just deleted my social media. Because sometimes I'm like, am I going too crazy? Looking at all these conspiracies, that's just what my feed is made out of. But, maybe I should just delete all of my social media. Then it's like, what would I do? How would I build my life, I guess? Which is so funny because social media wasn't here 20 years ago. It was just MySpace. And it's like, how did people build their lives back then? Offline. And I'm not saying it's definitely different now. There are a lot more ways to earn money online using social media than ever before. And I wonder if there are less ways to make money offline. Because there are a lot of things still going on offline, networking events. You can walk into businesses that are still brick and mortar businesses that you can just walk into and ask for business, But it's like, we're literally addicted to this stuff. And it's not even... It's kind of like a way of life now. Because it's not like, I need a bed, I need a mattress and covers and pillows. And it's like, I'm addicted to mattresses and covers and pillows. Like, it's not even that. It's not like, oh, I need Instagram, Threads, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook. It's not even that it's an addiction anymore. It's just a way of life. And so what happens when you take a mattress and covers and pillows away from you? I mean, you figure out a way. Maybe you sleep on the floor. I heard that is really good for you, actually. I've wanted to try that. But it's the same with social media. I've wanted to try deleting all of my stuff. I do love YouTube, though. Like, I think YouTube, I've always loved YouTube. And YouTube definitely has its problems as well. But I think it's for people who are interested in going deeper. And I don't get as, like, I mean, shorts are all the craze now on YouTube. I see them a lot. But those don't give me the junkie feeling. You know, like, I'm a junkie, I need the content on YouTube, like it does on Instagram. I could stay on Instagram forever and just be like, okay, next one. Like, I need the next video to give me a dopamine hit. And I need it to be bigger than the video that I just watched, you know? I just watched a video about aliens being real and about a UFO possibly in the sky. No, I need a video that hits my dopamine meter higher, right? More. And it's interesting how, you know, on Instagram that's so different than YouTube. And TikTok, I barely go on TikTok to actually watch. I feel like sometimes, like, Instagram is really good at algorithms. Really good. TikTok is, I think, really good at sharing new people and sharing new posts. I mean, and so that's why I don't necessarily like going on it, because I don't know what I'm going to get. I don't know if I'm ever going to get that dopamine hit like I'm going to get on Instagram. Facebook, I rarely go on there to, like, scroll. Threads, I really enjoy. Threads is like one of those things where I'm like, okay, what's the next thread? Oh yeah, like, with the next thread. Repost. No, it's always that dopamine hit, and I'm not necessarily, I'm aware of it when I'm scrolling, but I don't, like, let it stop me from scrolling. Good, bad, I don't know. Go back to this scene right here. Got about 15 minutes left on this live. See the other. Hello. Thank you for watching. It's just kind of random chats. I see a third person coming in now. Random chats. Have over coffee. Now, I want to please subscribe if you're into comedy. I post a lot of comedy. If you're into current events, and conspiracies. A little bit of conspiracy stuff here. Here's the thing, too, with conspiracies. I kind of know them surface level. Like, I can explain a conspiracy to someone who doesn't really know about it. But as far as going deep, I don't really do that. And maybe that is not a good thing. I don't know. But you think of like the Titanic. Like, I can tell you the Titanic and the whole story around that, and of course the movie, which is just further propaganda. And these lives are not meant to be, negative or doomsday at all. It's just truth. It's just propaganda. Isn't necessarily a bad word. It is. It's just a word. But I think sometimes it has that negative connotation because it's like propaganda, or we're trying to be controlled, and yeah, we are. So let's be aware of that and not be controlled. But, explaining Titanic conspiracy to other people, oh no, it didn't just hit an iceberg and sink. It was actually planned because the Federal Reserve, there were a lot of rich people, or maybe a handful of rich people, the richest in the world, wanted the Federal Reserve to happen. And there were a handful of people who didn't want the Federal Reserve to happen. See, this is how in depth I go. It's like, I don't even have the names of these people. But it might be good to like read a book on it. It's just, this is the information I've gathered through videos. And the people who didn't want the Federal Reserve to happen, they were, everybody was invited onto this boat. They were the ones who made it onto the boat, and the ones who wanted the Federal Reserve to happen just happened to not show up for the boat. Then they went out on the journey, and then there's some more stuff that I had heard about possibly a bomb going off. This is allegedly, okay, because I don't know that for sure. But Titanic sank with all of these rich people who were against the Federal Reserve, and then shortly after, the Federal Reserve was created. So that's like something that I could tell to somebody who doesn't know at all, and just get their mind kind of working. What's so funny is it says two people watching, and I don't know if, I think it's both of them are me, because I have myself up on my computer and I have myself on my phone right here, and I think both people are me. And that's fine. It gave me a little hope. If it's not just me, you feel free to chat in the chat box. You have to subscribe first. But, it felt good. Felt good for a minute to have one person who was just on it for like 30 minutes. And then it's just me. But it's good. It's really good. But maybe as far as being someone who, see, I don't necessarily need to convince other people of conspiracy theories. I just want to hold my own perspective on them. And it's interesting, this guy that I've mentioned with the video that I watched yesterday, the functional melancholic, he said something about, people, he said something about facts, and people will be handed a fact and they'll deny it. And he said because facts don't show up in a vacuum, they show up within certain contexts. And I thought it was interesting. I wasn't sure who he was talking about as far as fact checking. But how do you fact check when so many of the facts that we've been given have been falsified, have been created from a narrative that is not true. It's hard, and I think that's why a lot of us can't come together, is because, again, the shared reality is not there anymore. And talking about something like the COVID vaccine, I got it. And there are still so many people out there who got it, who are proud to have gotten it, who got multiple vaccines, got boosters, all of this. And then, facts come out. Now there are facts that come out that it is linked to health concerns. It was made to target certain races of people, and I believe it was white and black. And it's like, okay, well, we were told facts, alleged facts, when we were getting the vaccine. But now, 5 years later, we're told different facts. So I think this is how, the people who are in charge are making us crazy. Right? I don't know. See, now I see one is watching, so maybe that actually was a person. Either way, I appreciate it. It's only day 2, so I'm here for it. Yeah, it said live viewers too. Got about 8 more minutes. I'm gonna hang out. I have some more catering tonight. One thing. The other day, so we served salads at this wedding the other day. And we had many left over, like 10 plus salads, little salads left over. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to grab a couple of these salads. I'm going to throw them in a to-go box. I'm just going to set it to the side so when we have some downtime, I'm going to eat it. And then it was time for the people to give their speeches, and people were in the, father-daughter dance and mother-son dance. And I was like, I'm going to go back there. I'm going to take a few bites of this salad. Because there's nothing for us to do when they're doing that. We're not supposed to go on the floor. We're not supposed to get dirty dishes. So some of us are just kind of in the back. And I grab this to-go container I have, light came in from there. Start eating it, and then the lead of that night, the catering, comes up. And she's like, First off, she was like, did you bring that salad? She knows I didn't. Is all the ingredients. But then she said that. She's like, no, you can't be eaten here like that. Because I guess the boss, director of operations, I believe, was there. And I guess I couldn't be eating in front of her or at that time. And the lead was like, just, you're not supposed to eat depending on who's here. And next time, just ask me. Let me know. And maybe you go outside or something like that. And I'm just like, I'm 35 fucking years old. And obviously this is a job, this is my choice that I have this, and it's 2026. And you're going to tell me that I can't stand here and take a few bites of this salad that you were going to throw out anyway. I don't know why she asked if it was my salad, or like if I brought it or not, because if I can't stand here eating it in front of this person, what does it matter if it's my salad or not? And I think she realized that after she asked it, because it didn't matter. But, man, sometimes people just want to, like, what is this? Just let it go. I just started, like I said, 2 weeks ago. And I'm a fucking good worker. Like, it'd be one thing if I was just sitting over here and not doing anything and, hiding, and she didn't see me running around on the floor, getting all my tables done, served, and all of that. That'd be one thing. But that's not what happens. I do all my work. It's not like during busy time I'm going to go back there and eat salad. And on top of this, I don't necessarily like people telling me what to do, okay? But I have a job where I have leads and people I need to listen to. But then, you see the amount of food that gets thrown out. I mean, yesterday I worked. I mean, there was just cheese logs, that started off this big, and it was probably like this big, by the end of it. Like 10, maybe 10 got thrown out. We had little, like, toast things. So if you imagine, like, Cinnamon Toast Crunch, or if you imagine just a loaf of bread and then shrunk, right, for, like, dipping and stuff, and you put the cheese on. There were 2 huge baskets of them. Maybe 3 to 4 thrown out. All of it thrown out. And I'm just, I haven't necessarily been around this for a while, just not working in the food industry for a bit. But, I'm telling all these people, I'm like, this is fucking crazy. And everybody's like, I know, right? And then they just keep going. It's like, what are they going to do about it? Part of me, it's like, I want to be like, let's take all this fucking food. And I'm sure people have tried before. Take all this food, take all this cheese, give it to a chef who can either reuse it for his own stuff or, have a chef that makes food for the homeless, for the needy, for, low income, for people who actually need that stuff. And we're just trashing it like huge amounts of food. And this is just one wedding. This is just one event in St. Louis. Imagine how many times it's happening at every single restaurant, every single coffee shop, every single, sports game. And it's just gotten to the point where it's so big, it's kind of hard to slow down. Plus, I know, there have been lawsuits of people giving food to the homeless, and then the homeless get sick, and then they sue, and so it's like, let's just make it I want to say make it to where they can't, but then that kind of, what if somebody actually does something to the food and now they can't sue? But it's sad. It's sad to see. Again, I don't want this live to be it's just things I notice. It's crazy. Crazy, sad, crazy. But that has been an hour. And I appreciate everyone who has stopped by, who has watched. I'm just going from, topic to topic on these things. If I were to ever watch them back, I'd probably be extremely embarrassed. It's a lot of random stuff. And I'm just talking what I want to talk about. What which feels good. So, okay, thank you for watching. I already finished my coffee, and I'll see you next time. See if tomorrow possibly works out, but see you next time. Bye.